Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. A warm welcome to all of you on behalf of APAC News Network. My name is Rajneesh, Shri, and I'm the consulting editor with APAC News Network. And it's my pleasure today to have the eminent dignitaries from Technology Development Board, Department of Science and Technology, as well as from Manjeera on this platform. So before we start on our discussion, it would give me immense pleasure to introduce the eminent dignitaries who are present today. We have with us Shri Rajesh Kumar Pathak. He is the IP&TAFS Secretary and the Technology Development Board and Department of Science and Technology. Uh, Rajesh needs no further introduction, but I will just mention his 25-year long career in various central government ministries, urban local bodies, special purpose vehicles, PSUs, the autonomous statutory bodies, and there he has served various functions, including accounts, administrative audit functions, regulatory and statutory functions, policy formulations and implementation, financial management, taxation, tenders and contracts. Shri Pathak, he is a 1995 batch civil service officer of the IP&TFS cadre. He has a bachelor's degree in engineering from Roorkee University and a master's degree in technology with focus on water resources engineering from IIT Delhi. He also did his post-graduation diploma in public policy and management from IIM Bangalore. Welcome to the discussion today, Shri Pathak. So you are on mute.
Given, I don't think I deserve this kind of elaborate. I'm just Secretary Technology Development Board, concentrate on this only.
Sure, sir. Next, we have with us Dr. Tripti, Johri. She is a project coordinator with the Technology Development Board. And Dr. Johri, she is a PhD in physics, and she had done her master's in physics from CCS University, Meerut. She is also a Department of Science and Technology Fellow under the WOSC Kiran IPR scheme, and she has more than 17 years experience in science and technology implementation. Welcome to the show, Dr. Tripti. We have also with us Dr. Venu Kandadai. He is the CEO and the co-founder of Manjeera Digital Systems. This was founded way back in mid 2011. Before that, Dr. Kandadai has a vast experience in academia. He has been a professor in electronics at Hyderabad University for more than 20 years and earlier been a visiting scientist at the Lund University of Sweden in the 90s. And his focus has been on DSP, and I'm sure we would talk more about it during the discussion. Welcome today, Dr. Venu.
Thank you.
So I would like to start first with Shri Pathak. My question first will be, while the Manjeera is one specific case, but perhaps what the audience watching it would like to know, to the extent that Technology Development Board offers these support to the entrepreneurial ecosystem and the startups, and specifically what are the criteria or parameters under which these approval and support comes. Over to you, Shri Pathak.
Well, Mr. Day, in fact, Technology Development Board happens to be a unique institution, rather government institution in the entire government ecosystem. And this is a statutory body formulated through an act of parliament in 1995. The act was passed and TDB came into existence in 1996. The mandate of this institution is to help not only the established industrial, but also the startup or MSMEs or any kind of company except single one. If you have certain indigenous innovative technology, either you have developed it in house or you are sourced it from any of our research institution, and it is ready for commercialization, so you can hit the market at TRL level, we call it at 7, then the TDB is providing you support for your establishment of entire manufacturing facilities. Okay. So basically, as you rightly questioned, what are the criteria? The very first criteria which we looked into is that on that circuit, 2 or 3 main issues. One is whether this technology is indigenously developed. If is there any innovations associated with it, it should not happen that people comes with the same kinds of projects without adding any value to it. Even if it is imported one, then you have to adopt it, the technology modified suitably for the Indian conditions. Then also we looked into the formulations. So if this criteria is true for on the technical evaluation, then we look about what is their financials, so that this cost projections they have done it is proper, it is required for the projects or not, or whether they have overestimated the cost. So once this is also established, this is there, then we come and fund up to 50% of their project cost. That include land, building, plant, machinery. We do not fund working capital. Rest the company has to brought it through either their own source of fund or through other bank loan, which we enter into a pari passu charge agreement with that bank or any other financial institution. So this is the entire, in nutshell, the ecosystem TDB follows. And the better part is, in fact, we do all those evaluation. Obviously, project coordinator Tripti is here. There are so many project coordinators with us. Project director was fine. They are basically a link of TDB with the outside expert committee. We form expert committee of the field from where this project. Suppose each project is from technology side, then we go for search for professors from IITs. If it is agriculture project, then we search professor from agriculture university. If it is medical, then AIMS. So an expert committee evaluate this technologically as well as for financials part also. We outsource it to retired CGMs or GMs of a bank or CB manager who is retired. So this they are on our panel. So a total thorough financial techno-commercial evaluation is done by us, and this is two-stage process. Initially, we do in initial screening committee, then later on we do it project evaluation committee, and this expertise remains with the company till their project is implemented through. We term this PEC as a project monitoring committee. So, in effect, the company gets a technical and financial support. We do not charge anything for this entire process. So, virtually it is free to them. Otherwise, they could not have got this experience from outside, or probably they could have charged for it. The idea is to help them, and we normally fund those projects which are high risk oriented, because technology itself is a high risky project which otherwise many fellows banks do not. Nowadays banks are coming. Nowadays there is a question of a startup and everybody is now drawing in this, but when we were formed is in 97, 98, there will be some of the project which funded during that point of time, be it Bharat Biotech or Santa Biotech hepatitis B vaccine, which now, based on this ecosystem, today when COVID came, we said, okay, our ecosystem is such a robust ecosystem system in India, but the foundation stone was laid by technology development boards. All company, be it Ranbaxy, be it biologically, be it Biocon, anything you name, their project was funded by technology development board in that point of time. We funded RIBA, electronic e-mobility, which today Prime Minister has talked about when he was discussing in that budget for science and technology post-budget session. So, so many more. In fact, I am really delighted to share with you, with this APAC, through you, all my viewers, that the first project which I signed as a secretary TDB has created history. I don't know, it was destiny or something, I don't know about it, but then the fact is we have supported the Bottle of Dynamics, who created history by flying 1,000 drones on 29th of January, that meeting retreat, after meeting retreat. And it was spectacular, so it is indigenous, built everything, all from drone, their chips and everything was indigenously built. And they said that the cost by doing it has reduced from 60,000-80,000 per drone to 20,000-22,000. And we become the fourth in the world after Russia, after US, and after China, the fourth country. So this second I signed with the person already visible here, Dr. Venu, that Manjeera Digital, and I am 100% sure this project is also going to create history in India. So I am really lucky to that extent. So this is all about. Just a specific one, I can come back.
Thank you, sir. So, I have just one question on what you mentioned. One very heartening that you said the company's sort of technology development board had started nurturing in the late 90s when you started. They have become such critically big companies now. So, my question is you mentioned about the techno commercial evaluation which you do, and where basically the preference is given to technologies that are developed indigenously and which are innovative in nature. So my question is, in the phase of a company or a startup's development, and where it is growing, which exactly is the stage where TDB comes in? Because even to for someone to become eligible for that level evaluation, the it has to come up, reach up to a certain point. So, is there a sort of a ballpark where TDB comes in to evaluate an enterprise, whether they have technology which is innovative enough or indigenous enough?
Uh, I think a very good question you have asked. Our mandate is to commercialize indigenous technology. So our support, or rather TDB, comes at a stage which I mentioned earlier. We call it TRL 7, 7 and 8. So there is a scale worldwide adopted technology readiness level from 0 to 9. And from 0 to, basically, I always talk about anything, if you say technology, it is just mind to market. Sometimes what happens, from something is there in the mind, so you do research, you prepare your research papers and publish it, that's it. It is not hit in the market. So if you are talking about the projects which we enter into, is basically hitting the market. So if you have to hit the market, so your research or have to be either patented, or you have some innovation. If some innovation is there, obviously we'd like to patent it. Otherwise, somebody else will get into it. So therefore, research part we do not fund. There are other ecosystems available within DST who does it, or if it is a bio side, then it is DBT or BIREC they are doing. Otherwise, DST has this entire system. So till you have a prototype or you have proven that this technology has potential to enter into the market and do fairly good business. So that level, which is called TRL 7 of in roughly 6 or 7. So the prototype ready, demonstration is already there. So all kinds of report is required that you are with this. What is suppose it is some medicine you are working on, you may generic or a specific, then all sorts of trials you have done it, or you are the final stage of trial, etc., etc. So you are fairly reached to the extent now your product has to be manufactured at a mass scale, and for that you need to set up your manufacturing facility somewhere. So that you need land, plant, building, and everything. Where we come into, and then my technological person who do the techno analysis, they go through all those facts which were submitted through the projects, all those reports, etc., etc., and then they evaluate. Okay, this project, this is a techno. This project is technically feasible. It is innovative. It is indigenous, and something is there which can be looked into. Now the question is, from if you see from true bankers' perspective, they will always go to what kind of revenue you are generating and all those things. So, but from TDB, we absorb that kind of risk. Even if it has a less potential in the making the market initial stage or so, still if we say innovation is there in technology, this boy, the startup is there or MSME is there, anybody, then we find it, they fund it, the project. To absorb certain risk and always guide them through PMC to complete their project. And it happens sometimes. Once the project is completed, the product comes into the market. They may not find that kind of takers. That is fine. It's always possible with your technical projects. But then it's a part of our job to support them. So at the risk of failure, also we support if the technology has innovation into it. It is indigenous.
Okay, sir. Thank you. And one more clarification I wanted. See, many of these startup companies or technology companies also look at external funding from VCs and other sources. So, in case there is certain private funding for an enterprise, will that TDB can look at those also, or then is there a criteria that you cannot look at private funding? So how does it work?
No, look, I told you in the beginning itself, we fund maximum 50% of the project cost. Just 50% is for the company to arrange either through your own sources, through equity, or through unsecured loan of the promoter, or you can take bank loan, or you can take VCF fundings. In fact, some of the projects which we did all techno commercial evaluation at the final stage, they came to us and saying that venture capital is funding me. Now they have set a condition that you don't take government fund, so please excuse us. So this kind of things has happened. So for us, it is immaterial whether I am giving money or somebody else is giving money. As long as this technology is getting commercialized, I am fine. I am okay with this from the government perspective. So that's it.
Understand.
So we are very flexible. We are very flexible in that sense.
Okay. Thank you. I'll come to you, Dr. Venu, now. Now, we have heard from Pathak ji about the way the TDB criteria works with the startups, and he mentioned that in his tenure, Manjeera was the second signing. So, from your perspective, I would like to understand what was the story behind the genesis of Manjeera, and how did the relation with TDB come about? If you can take us through that.
Sure. First of all, thank you for giving me an opportunity to join this interview. So coming to how Manjeera has started, Manjeera Digital Systems. I've been working in digital architectures and high performance computing since my university days and even after I came to industry. I have seen various processes, very high-end processors like Intel, NVIDIA, and so on, AMD, ARM processor, and I have seen the bottlenecks in their computing methodology. With my research background and with my experience in computing and digital architectures, we came up with a solution to remove the bottlenecks in computing and increasing the speed of computing by a couple of orders of magnitude. That is when we incorporated Manjeera Digital Systems and then started validating our idea of this universal multifunction accelerator, UMA, or as we all call as UMA. And after preliminary validation on field programmable gate arrays, FPGAs, we have written down the patent and applied for the patent, and this is the patented technology. This is a new computing methodology and an architecture. It works very different from all other processors. Okay. So this is how Manjeera Digital Systems started, and we have gone a long way in using this UMA in various applications, and that's a different topic. But coming to our relation with TDB, first of all, when I was in the university, I had been I was handling various research projects, including research grants from Department of Science and Technology, DST. I'm familiar with this structure. And second, when we started Manjeera Digital Systems, we participated in a program called India Innovation Growth Program. And there is an award called India Innovation Growth Award. And in 2013, we are one of the awardees of gold medal awardees of 2013 in this India Innovation Growth Award, in which Department of Science and Technology, FICCI, Lockheed Martin Corporation, Stanford University, these are all involved. So there was a final presentation where the finalists were all asked to make presentation, and I was one of the people selected in that. I went in and made my presentation. The then TDB secretary was one of the panel members, one of the judges in selecting the awardees. So in fact, after my presentation and I came out, it's a new processor and completely indigenous and so on, he actually came out to catch me for a moment and tell me that I should apply for TDB funding to commercialize this technology. This happened way back in 2013. Okay. So, of course, that is how I know. I knew about the DST. I was in touch with DST when I was in university, and then about this TDB. And I knew about the requirements for TDB funding as well. It should be, I should have a prototype and ready to commercialize. I should have a commercialized product. We have done various products over the period of time using GMA, but when we got an order from Ministry of Science and Technology for developing and marketing IRNSS based, that means NAVIC receivers, NAVIC GPS receivers, and then we had a prototype ready. That is when we thought that we are ready for applying for TDB funding. So we waited until we had a prototype, and that is when we applied for TDB funding. So that's how we got into it. So this is the background of Manjeera and also the relation with TDB.
That's interesting to know. I'll come back to you later on the further progress. I'll take this time to come to you, Dr. Tripti, as the project coordinator. In this relation between TDB and Manjeera, what do you feel have been the significant milestones, and how those milestones have been achieved according to you?
As far as the milestones are concerned, we are very recently funded by TDB. So the process, of course, was, as I told you, in 2013, I came to know about this TDB funding and so on. But then we applied only in 2019, towards the end of 2019, because we were waiting for the prototype to be ready. And to be frank, that was a bad period, pandemic everywhere, and it was very difficult even for TDB to handle this. But to the credit of TDB, they have managed the initial screening committee meeting and PEC meetings despite all the pandemic by allowing these things to be online meetings. And then our a proposal got scrutinized, and we got very good advisors, particularly on the commercial side, how to improve our application, and we made the necessary applications. So the biggest achievement is to make this happen despite the pandemic and despite a lot of travel restrictions and so on. So that's what I think that, really TDB has been very efficient in doing this, keeping in mind the requirements of a startup like ours.
Sure. Thanks. Yeah, Dr. Tripti, especially as Dr. Venu mentioned, during these challenging pandemic times after TDB got into this relationship in 2019, and since then it has been these challenging times. So, how have the things progressed, and what has been your experience?
Because I just wanted to share this experience with you all, because it's been a kind of amazing experience, because we were not ready for the pandemic. We were not aware that the situation will go worse or something. So online was the new normal for us. But for the work nature that we do for the industries is the process which is already set for us. And to modify the process, generally in a government system, it takes a longer time. But as you know that technology delayed is technology denied, so we can't take much time for the process modification. And that's where TDB came into the picture. TDB very quickly modified the process of evaluation. We get back to evaluation online. And I'm telling you, it is difficult because the fund that we provide to the companies is basically taxpayers' hard-earned money. So with a huge responsibility, they have given us this fund so that we can utilize this for the welfare of our country. So the same responsibility with more responsibility to our shoulders is that we disseminate this amount to the desired people so that our country can be independent and can be Atmanirbhar. But with the process modifications of evaluation, we kept in mind that the set processes should not be diluted. But yes, we can do it more expeditiously. We had number of interaction with the promoter of the company, Dr. Venu, with our technical and financial experts. And I must tell you that it's not a journey of funding only. Now, with the association with Manjeera, it's not that it's your project, Dr. Venu. Now it's our project. We will mutually go through and do this journey together, because now we are so much involved with the technology. When this project came to us, it was like wonderful technology, the kind of technology we were looking for since long. I would like to mention about the Kargil war that happened in 1999, and we were denied to get the GPS rights. Hope we all remember. So that was the time when it was a dire need that we should have our own regional navigation system. And Government of India took a lead to it, and 7 constellations are already there in the space. But the difficult part was we were not having that ample quantity of receivers. So when this प्रोजेक्ट केम टू अस, सो खाली टेक्नोलॉजी नहीं है, वो देशभक्ति की भावना भी जुड़ी है इसमें कि अब हमारा देश आत्मनिर्भर है, हमें किसी पर निर्भर नहीं होना है. और जीपीएस के राइट्स के लिए वी कैन फाइट एंड वी कैन गेट आवर जीपीएस सिग्नल्स made by Professor Venu. So these both feelings were there because technology is there, and my national this thing is also there. So we did some process modifications, we technically evaluated it, and it was found that they have a very good technology. Now second part comes in the financials. So in most of the startups or the companies, the difficult part is financials. These are the techpreneurs, so they are very much good in their technology part, but there are some more brushing up is required in terms of financials, how you will get to the market, how you will penetrate to the market. And at times people are not aware that they are so good in technology wise that they can have a huge global market for them. So this kind of mentoring is also given from TDB to the startup, so that they can not only get the funding for a time being, they are also independent in future. भविष्य में भी वो आत्मनिर्भरता से खड़े हो सकते हैं कि ये प्रोजेक्ट के बाद अब मेरे फाइनेंशियल इतने स्ट्रांग हैं कि मैं इसको आगे लेके जा सकता हूँ. So all together, all these things were there in my mind when I was doing the project. It was difficult because of the pandemic, but then jahan chah wahan raha. So we always found some methods to fund the project, and eventually by the grace of God we could do that.
Great to know that. Thank you. So coming back to you, Dr. Venu. Now, what Dr. Tripti also mentioned, a very important part, the marketing of it. And you mentioned when you build the prototype and for Department of Science and Technology only. So my question is now, since for the navigation solutions or the Navic and the other platforms, what sort of use cases you are already building across different applications, across different domains, and how do you plan your go to market strategy around that? Because that is always critical in the next phase now, once you have the technology ready. So, how do you plan to go ahead? So, you are on mute.
Yeah. As you know, this is a receiver which receives signals from the satellites. In the case of Navic, from the Indian constellation of satellites, to find the user position. This receiver gives three basic information: position, velocity, and time. All the three are, these are the other where the receiver is. Let us say the receiver is in a truck, the truck's position and the truck's velocity, and then at the time at which this data is collected. So this PVT information, position, velocity, and time information, is used in number of applications. First and foremost one is like a vehicle tracking system. Here the government of India mandated through its AS 140 standards that all the commercial vehicles should have this vehicle tracking system based on Navic and GPS together, of course. This is the kind of a receiver we are making. So with this vehicle tracking system, you know the position of all the commercial vehicles, and this is going to be extended to railways. Railways is taking up one project in knowing where all its trains are in real time, how they are. So vehicles of any type of vehicles, tracking them in real time is one major application. This is a huge market. And as far as go-to-market strategy for this particular application is concerned, we are working with some OEMs who build vehicle tracking systems, and our plan is to supply these Navic modules to these OEMs. Okay. So we are helping the OEMs to build vehicle tracking systems using the Navic module. Of course, when we make the Navic module, it's made according to a standard, how the information can be gotten from this module and used in a vehicle tracking system. This is a universal standard that we also follow. So the go-to-market strategy, of course, is to work with the OEMs, and that we have already started. This is one application. Then the other applications are, for example, timing synchronous receivers. Timing synchronous receivers are some things which will allow you to provide exact timing. With all the satellites have atomic clocks on board, and the receiver provides very accurate nanosecond level timing information. This is needed in things like the electrical grids and various other applications where timing is very important. Okay. So the timing synchronous receivers use essentially something like a NAVIC receiver in that. Here again, we are trying to build a basic timing synchronous receiver using our NAVIC module and give this know-how to some OEM which produces the timing receivers in large scale and then supply into the market. Then the other applications are like in drones, in aviation, for position determining, and then the very critical things like what do you call geofencing, and then the surveying to get the precise information. From the basic NAVIC receiver, you make what are called differential NAVIC receivers. Differential NAVIC receivers give you an accuracy of within less than a centimeter in finding the position. Normal NAVIC receiver, for example, GPS gives about 15 meters position accuracy, whereas NAVIC receiver gives around 5 meters. But with a differential NAVIC receiver, wherein there are two receivers involved, you get into centimeters. And this is an application where you can use it for surveying. You want to precisely determine the boundaries, etc. And this is one application. Then forestry department needs it not only for this surveying purpose, but even tracking some of the assets in the forest. Okay, so this is at another application for these NAVIC receivers. Overall, the market is a multi-billion-dollar market in India itself, and worldwide, if you talk about general navigation system, it's even hundreds of billions of dollars market. And we have, in the beginning stage, we have started, and recently we have increased our marketing and business development area activities by appointing an appropriate person there, and we have been working with some OEMs. So there are a large number of applications, and the market is huge, and we are getting into the stage where we already have some customers in the form of OEMs ready to lift the first batch of modules that we will be having ready. So,
Okay. Thank you, sir. Coming back to Pathakji, now we heard about the specific Manjeera case, and from Dr. Tripti, we heard the challenges that in the last couple of years during the pandemic has been even to conduct the financial evaluations that you have. Most of the things have to be done online, obviously. We can understand because of the reason. So my question is now, one, how has these, if I may say, the mode of these evaluation changed, and going forward, more importantly, when things like the Prime Minister himself has set the targets of Atmanirbhar or vocal for local. So these indigenous technologies need to be further developed. And maybe touchwood, even if there is the pandemic doesn't repeat to that scale, but we are likely to have a hybrid kind of work environment in the near and distant future again. So, how will that change the perspective of how TDB functions in terms of techno evaluating these startup projects, and what will be the future roadmap according to you?
very important question. Very important question. The evaluation process of TDB, whether it was on-site or online, really it's not the major difference actually. It's just that they have moved from on-site to online to facilitate this continuation of evaluation despite the pandemic. Okay,
Can we add something? What Dr. Venu
Sure,
said?
sir. Sure, sir.
Look,
Sure, sir. Please go ahead.
if you ask my personal opinion, okay, this pandemic has given us an opportunity to you can say, using digital platform. There was an inertia 2 years back, and always give an example. We have a very good system developed by NIC, all these files. Okay. So today, if anybody wants 100% paperless office, government can work. This system is already there. But 2-3 years back, lots of resistance that something confidential, we want to do it, then I have to take fiscal file and all those in the government. But this after COVID, everybody is so familiar with e-office that sitting at home, working from home, people are doing all official work. Today also, we all are sitting different places, but we have come together and doing this live show without any problem, as if we all are sitting across. Okay. So according to me, this journey or this virtual platform or pandemic has, even though as Dr. Tripti said, it forced us to change our processes, but now the process in hybrid mode is much faster and giving us the result in quick time. For example, I was going to some of the PECs now. If some professor by any of his engagement or anything is unable to make it on site, that doesn't mean that I am waiting for him to come and my process is getting delayed. I am taking that professor on video and showing all those facilities and then discussing across three or are there at site, one is in hybrid mode, and we are doing our project evaluations. Okay. So plus sharing of all those information, data and everything, if you are in virtual mode, it is as good as sitting across. So according to me, this has rather given us very, you can say, impetus to process those applications quickly. Okay. So this is a positive change. I would say, to sum up, this is a very positive change, and we are committed to continue with it. Okay, there are a certain level of physical inspection is required, physical verification is required at PECST. We are doing it, but then there is not necessarily that all of the committee members should be present in person. If they are present, that is well and good. If someone is not available, then we are taking them on board through VC and doing out.
Thank you. Thank you. So we will conclude with you, Dr. Venu. My question is, you talked about Manjeera's roadmap. Now, how do you see the future of your association with TDB, and where do you see the further growth in that association there?
Sure. Firstly, we'd like to see to that this project moves, as a planned, and it is a good success, and we are able to achieve the milestones of this particular project. And we are a semiconductor company. We plan to do more chips, and this is where the even government of India is trying to encourage various stakeholders to come and contribute to the development of semiconductor technology in the country. You know that recently the government of India has called for bids for starting a fab. For the whole system is to be in place for a fab to work, and one of the important stakeholder here is the person who uses a fab. That means the company which designs a chip, and we are such people. Of course, we are also dependent on others like PCB manufacturers and so on and so forth. Okay, so we have a contribution there. We moving forward. We have lots of plans to do more chips, in particular in the artificial intelligence region, where we have validated our technologies already on the field programmable database, and we are talking to very no big customers. And so moving forward, once this project gets into a proper we are able to achieve the milestones of the project, we would like to get back to TDB and talk to them about our other plans, and then see how TDB can support us there. So definitely I see a long association with TDB. We are here to design and fabricate more and more chips addressing various applications, and I'm sure this is an area of interest to TDB.
Great. Thank you, sir. In fact, we all know how the government has been trying for a long time to develop a fab ecosystem in the country, and it would be great if this current association between TDB and Manjeera can even in some way lead to establishing at least one component of the fab development ecosystem here in India. A great and interactive discussion. Thanks for all the inputs. Thanks, Shri Pathak ji. Thanks, Dr. Venu. Thanks, Dr. Tripti, for enlightening us about TDB's role in developing the startup ecosystem, and in particular this specific case with Manjeera. And thanks to Dr. Venu for illuminating our viewers about the interesting solutions that Manjeera is developing. Wishing all of you a good day, and thanks for participating.
Thanks, Mr. Day.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.